This bike right here, 950 Multistrada. You know, being in the rental business, I get a lot of questions. People come in and they see all these different bikes in the fleet. And I've had GTLs, K1300S, R9T, F650, 1800 Gold Wings, a little bit of everything, right? People ask, what's your favorite bike? And until recently, I always hemmed and hawed. Said, well, if I'm gonna do this, I want that one. If I'm gonna do that, I want the other one. Never had a straight answer until I got the Ducati 950 Multistrada. I've had two 1200s, so I know the 1200 Multistrada, but it never really made it to the bar none favorite bike. Nothing wrong with it, it's just that it was missing some things in other areas, in certain areas. The 950 Multistrada nails it all. What they've done is they've taken the 1200 Enduro chassis from the 1200 Multistrada and they put the 950 engine in it. So essentially what you have is a frame that's capable of handling 160 horsepower in the dirt on rough terrain, and they put a 950 engine in it, and I just ride it on the street. So you can understand, nothing I'm gonna do is to upset that chassis. But I actually test rode this bike. I got cut off by a car, and I had a very little slice of pavement in between the car and the curb. I was able to navigate the bike in there with so much precision, on the brakes hard, and I never felt rattled. I've had other situations with the bike since then, and it's always been stellar. Now, the 1200 Enduro chassis, I think of this as a sleeved down 1200 type engine. So again, my engine is over-designed, my frame is over-designed for the amount of power. Now, at 110 horsepower, let's put that in perspective. In 1969, Honda came out with the CB750, 69 horsepower. That bike was a game changer. Put all the other manufacturers on their heels. 69 horsepower. Now we're out there trying to get 190, 200, 215. 69 horsepower is plenty, and this bike has 110. You only need 80 to upset the physics on a motorcycle. So everything after that, you're managing with the throttle hand anyway. What I get from this bike is very similar to why people say ride a 600 on the track to start out instead of a liter bike, because you don't have to do as much management on the throttle. Your horsepower deficit is automatic traction control to a degree. Now, because they use the 1200 chassis, it enabled them to go with the Touratech. Touratech makes this box for the Multistrada. You have a top here as well. These things are aluminum, they're solid, rock solid. They use these things off-road, very spacious. They're easy to take off, you carry it in the hotel, or if you're going camping, you do it that way. Bike has a 19-inch front wheel, typical of a dual sport bikes. That lets them give you a little bit more aggressive geometry because you have all the stability coming from your larger front wheel. Think of it as a gyroscope. The handlebars are perfect. Some of the dual sport bikes I've ridden, the handlebars are a little bit too wide. And as a result of that, you get this sloppy feel. These are perfect. So here's the thing that makes this bike so unique for me. In a sport touring environment, you do have to end up going into the Walmart parking lot because of the Target parking, because inevitably there's something you need. You need some Band-Aids, you need some tape, you need to get some kind of part, you need some clothing item. And so you go into these parking lots, and if you're on an RT, it's easy enough to handle, don't get me wrong. You ride this thing over a parking lot all day long. But what's nice about the Multistrada, it transitions from the street to the parking lot with ease. It's like a dirt bike. You can do anything, go anywhere, anytime. It's very, very easy. It's 200 pounds lighter than the RT. Think about that. It's not that much heavier than the F800 GS. F800 GS is a well-known sport touring bike, very nimble. People love this bike in the twisties because it's so active. But this one has 35 more horsepower, and it delivers the power like a Ducati traditionally does. The other thing I like about this bike is Ducati did not over-engineer it for performance. A lot of the Ducatis are so engineered for performance that they get to be a little bit temperamental, they get to be a little bit peaky. This bike is plenty fast, plenty powerful, but it doesn't have the peakiness. So if I think about what other bikes, so obviously to this one it gives up, you don't have the weight, it's got a little bit less horsepower, you make up for that on the weight, you don't have the protection. Yeah, we don't have rain here in California, so I don't have to worry about that. You don't get the radio, you don't get the heated seats. Most of those things I don't have to worry about. What does it give up to something like this? This one is a very active bike, but I could keep up with this bike on the Multistrada and the tight stuff. The difference is that this bike is more playful. The Multistrada while it's gonna run through the tight, and I'm talking about go path stuff. I'm talking about one lane, 1.5 lane stuff. It's gonna keep up with that bike. Maybe have to work a little bit more because you got 40 pounds heavier. And the other thing is, sometimes, you know, when you're in an urban area, leaving a traffic light, making a right turn, you want to go fast very quickly, and you need to stay tight because you're riding with some other people. This bike does that with flying colors. You stay tight to the curb, you just dial in a little bit of counter steer, keep the bike down, and it transitions very, very well from direct steering to counter steering. You really need to check this bike out. If any bike is on your list, if you're shopping for a bike, this bike should be on your short list. At least test ride it. For the money, I'm getting a chassis that's in a $24,000 motorcycle. The brake components, the forks, all this stuff is from a $24,000 motorcycle. I'm getting in a package for just over $15,000. You won't be disappointed. See you next time.